Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have a raid in the rack video for you because I've been out collecting more examples of this beautiful big plant behind me here. This is my wonderful Crassula ovata, and I've been out looking for different kinds of varieties of Crassula plants. And well, this big beauty is many years old. It's getting very, very big, and it's grown out so many new stems that at some point soon, I'm going to have to do a video where I go in and prune this plant back, which means I'm going to have lots of cuttings and lots of propagations, and I will be able to give away some beautiful little plants to those around me. Because that's what I feel like I want to do with this plant. She's such a big, lovely giver, growing so well, but these plants can get top heavy and snap if they are allowed to just keep growing out like this. They're okay if they're growing vertically, but once they start leaning out like this, eventually that is all gonna flop down. So all these extra stems here, I will be pruning back. I will prune back the top, try and keep a lovely round shape on this plant, of course, and it will bush out. The best time to do that is in the spring. So very soon I'm going to have to get in and make a video on doing this. But I'll be waiting till the weather's warmer because I want to do it outside, and then I want to have this plant maybe somewhere outside during the summer while it's flushing out its new foliage around the top. But isn't this plant a stunner? It's loving its spot here in the bathroom at our Crystal Cottage, where we have a west facing window and it gets bright light all evening on it, and it really loves that. And my other examples of Crassula that I have are also in my west facing windows and really enjoying their spots. So now that we've spoken a little bit about my beautiful big plant here, I'm going to show you some of the other varieties of Crassula that I bought while out raiding the rack. So the first one I'm going to show you is this. So here it is. This is the first lovely little plant I want to show you here. This is Crassula ovata Gollum. And it has these thinner leaves here that kind of look like trumpets at the end, some of them. They grow on the same kind of stem, very succulent-y, but a very different shaped leaf than the original Crassula ovata, this one behind me here. But they are in the same genus. So look at all these leaves closer up. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at that. This is just a small one I have at the moment, but it is sure to grow quite fast and fill out. And I really like this. So this is in the window we have, west facing, up in our bedroom. So it's happy there. And there are different varieties of these thinner leafed Crassulas out there. They have one that has even thinner leaves than this. I think it's called ladyfingers. They have ones that are a little bit thicker than this, and they have variegated varieties. So there are so many different types of this Gollum looking Crassula ovata plant. So that was the first one I wanted to show you. Let's get on with the next one. So the next beautiful Crassula ovata I have in front of me here is called Crassula ovata Hummel Sunset. And this one, even though it's very green at the moment because it's been in a shadier area when I bought it, this one actually gets yellow around the edge and into the leaves, a much more yellow kind of streaking with a red edge. Yeah, I think there's just one leaf here. If you look at that, you can see a little bit of the yellow on there and around the edge of some of the other ones. Yes, this one here. So if you look at this one here as well at the top, that also has the yellow. That shows you that this plant, when it's in the sun, will start getting much more yellow and red on the leaves. So you can see around the edges here on these ones too. So this is not showing up so much right now. If you want the colors to come out in these Crassula ovata plants, they need to be in bright direct light or bright indirect light. That stresses out the leaves so that the color comes out much more. So there are varieties of this type of Crassula ovata that has completely yellow leaves in the summer. Some can turn very dark red And this one, as I said, has a combination of streaks of the yellow and the green and the red together when it flushes out much more during the summertime when it's brighter. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this have a completely different colour from the Jade Crassula ovata, we can call it. That's the original plant, the Jade plant. They're all Jade plants, they're all money trees or what we want to call them. But yeah, so that's the difference between this one and the original Crassula ovata. The Crassula ovata Hummel Sunset has a lovely sunset hue around the edges and into the leaves. And that is absolutely beautiful. So that was number 2. And now I just want to show you the final Crassula plant I have, which isn't a Crassula ovata, but looks very much similar to these plants, but it is still a Crassula. So I'm going to show you that now. This beautiful plant is called Crassula arborescens subspecies undulatifolia. Yes, because the leaves have a rippled edge. So if you look at these leaves, they're not round like the Crassula ovata, they are rippled around the edges. And they're still very succulent, they look very similar to the Crassula ovata. So I just had to have this as part of the collection. The colour of these leaves at the moment, when they're in the window and in the sunshine, is a very kind of bluey, grey green colour, which is really beautiful. At the moment it's looking much more green in the lighting around, but it has a kind of layer on the leaves that gives it a bluey grey tone, and that is really, really nice. And the rippled effect on the leaves is very different from the Crassula ovata. So that's very nice. I found this and I just had to have it, and this has just started a whole new craze for me because I absolutely love jade plants. So knowing now that there are so many different varieties out there to collect, I am just going to get me a little bit of everything I can find. And I really would love to be able to find the variegated varieties and the completely yellow varieties. And you know, the fantastic thing about these plants is that they change colour depending on the light they get. So they're so interesting. They can be completely green, and then you put them in the sunshine and they will start getting all the different tones and the pigments that are in the leaves. The Crassula ovata can turn very red all over. And this one will probably be able to turn a reddish tone as well. And the other one, as I said, the Hummel Sunset, will get lots of yellow tones and streaks in it, as well as different tones of green. Look at that different texture on these leaves. There are so many beautiful different types and shapes of leaves on these Crassula plants. So gorgeous. So look at these two, the Gollum and the Ripple Jade. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very different. Very interesting. So now I just want to give you just a couple of care tips with this plant. It's a very easy plant to keep happy. Do not overwater it is number 1. This is a succulent. You can see it holds a lot of moisture in its leaves and its stem. It doesn't need a lot of water. When it needs water, you will see the leaves starting to crinkle or get wrinkly. And then you know you can go in and water your plant. But other than that, I wouldn't water this plant more than once or twice a month. During the summer, you can water it more. But again, the plant will tell you when it needs to be watered. So if it's in a bright situation, bright light, terracotta pot, for example, you can water it a lot more. But if it's in a plastic pot and it's in a darker kind of situation, you will not need to water that plant very much at all. Otherwise, it will just rot out. And as you can hear, the plant does like a lot of light. It likes bright direct light and it likes bright indirect light, and it will be very, very happy. It's not a plant that thrives well in low light conditions. I have had these in low light conditions and they do survive. They do okay, but they will start getting leggy if you put them in low light situations, and that's the same with any kind of succulent plant. So give them as much light as possible, but do not move the plant from a shadier area and then in the summer put it straight into a burning, bright, hot, sunny position, because just like any other plant, you will burn out the leaves. So they need time to adjust if you want to put them into a brighter situation. Indoors in your windowsill, they're usually okay. Just keep an eye on them like anything else. Spray over the leaves because they do get dusty and dirty like any other plant, to keep them lovely and shiny. But they do have a lovely shiny hue naturally, these plants, which is really, really helpful. I haven't had many problems with pests on these plants, but of course they do get pests as well. They are prone to mealybugs. I've seen that. I did buy a plant way back that had mealybugs on it, and it spread a lot around that plant. Luckily it was just a little plant and I could just get rid of the mealybugs. So that is something you just need to keep an eye on. But other than that, they're really quite easy to spray over with some kind of insecticide, neem oil or anything like that if you should need to do something like that, get rid of mealybugs or something. They do like to be in a well-draining kind of soil. So when you buy them, they're usually in some kind of peat and it's rock hard. So when you go to repot them, just make a mix. You can use a gardening mix, but you'll need to amend it yourself. So you can put sand in there, and you can put leca balls, and you can put any kind of thing that aerates the soil so that it doesn't retain too much moisture, because the plants really don't need that. But other than that, these plants are so simple and easy to take care of. They can take differences in temperature. Mine are in my cottage here in the winter time, and usually the temperature is down to around 16 degrees Celsius, lowest, and they do absolutely fine with that. And of course they can take normal summer temperatures outside. They can take up to, 35 degrees Celsius or whatever. These plants are very popular, I've seen online, in Southern California or all the warmer states in the US. They absolutely love crassulas. They have them out and about everywhere. They grow fast, they're easy to prune, they're easy to propagate. Propagation is so easy with these plants as well. You can leaf propagate them, you can stem propagate them directly in soil, water propagate them. They grow air roots sometimes. My larger plant is starting to throw out air roots, and that's because it's in the bathroom here, and when we shower, the atmosphere here gets moist. There's a humid atmosphere, so it's thrown out air roots, and those can be just pruned off and made into baby plants. The only thing you need to remember to do is let the end of the stem or the leaf callus over before you put it in soil. If you're in an environment where you're keeping your plant indoors and it's not very hot and dry. Of course, in the hot states of America, they can just prune off a stem and put it straight into the soil because it won't do any damage. It won't get root rot. It won't rot. It won't get too wet. But if you're keeping your plant indoors in a pot with soil, you're going to have to let it just callus over for maybe 3 days or a week. I mean, it's up to you. They can take a good amount of time sitting without being in the soil. They've got so much moisture in the leaves. And then you just put those stems in the soil, and don't overwater that soil in the beginning as the roots are growing out, because otherwise you will start rotting out the plant. So slowly but surely water the plant. And you'll be okay. So anyway, this was only supposed to be a short raid in the rack video about these absolutely beautiful different varieties of plants. I am looking so much forward to collecting more of these plants because they work so well in our cottage, in our windows, and I know they survive the colder temperature during the winter time as well. A minimum of around 16 degrees Celsius. These are warm loving plants, so they can't take frost or anything like that. You can't leave them outside in a frosty environment. You can't leave them outside if it's pouring down with torrential rain and things like that, because they will just rot out. So now anyway, get out there and find yourself some beautiful Crassula plants to add to your collection. You will love them. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.